GTA 6 has had some brand new leaks. Well, kinda. Recently, there's been some news regarding HipHopGamer, who is a longtime video game journalist and content creator. So there's some clips of him in an interview that have been going viral on Twitter lately, and he's made some pretty interesting claims. In his interview, he mentions that he was invited to a special event with Netflix where he got an early look at GTA 6. Now, before I get into these claims, I do want to mention that you should take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm not super familiar with this guy's content, and I've heard some mixed things about his credibility. I've heard on one side that he's been known for getting early information regarding past video games and that he's a credible source, but on the other side, some people are saying that he sensationalizes some of his content and he's had leaks that have not come to see the light of day. I don't know. It just seems a little weird, especially knowing how tight-lipped Rockstar is with their NDAs and how mad they get when it comes to leaks. It would just seem out of character for them to just let someone speak about what seems like a secretive event out in the open like that. That said, I'm not putting it all the way past HipHopGamer, as some people just know how to network and build connections. And like I said, he has been someone who's gotten early information about games before, so it's not impossible. There's also this picture of him with Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, which is pretty interesting and could maybe indicate some kind of connection to Rockstar games that he was able to build. I don't know. Maybe it's valid, maybe it's not. And him remaining general is what really makes me think this could possibly be credible information, since he's not mentioning like super dramatic news where like Jason and Lucia go to space in the video game. You know, it's like very simple stuff. It's general, but still, if I was someone trying to go viral and get attention, I would make up something a little more eye-catching than what he's revealed. Information he brought to light is about things that seem a bit too mundane and common in GTA 6 to make up for no reason. I'll let y'all be the judge of it, and we should definitely know more about the game soon with the extended look coming up in a couple weeks. So let's get into this information and I'll give my thoughts, and there's definitely some things we could speculate from what was mentioned here, so let's get into it. Here are some of the details that HipHopGamer has mentioned about GTA 6. So first, GTA 6's technology was reportedly developed with film and TV applications in mind. Now, the first thing that's interesting about this is he mentioned film and TV application, and this whole thing allegedly came about because of him attending a Netflix event that he was invited to where he saw a preview of the game. So it makes me curious about how this extended look is going to be, and it brings a new perspective about what Rockstar could be planning in terms of content creation within the game. Like, what does that mean? TV and film applications in mind? Are people going to be literally making movies and TV shows within the game? And that's something we could definitely speculate about. Like, when I hear this, I start to think about a couple things. Like, first, UGC, which is user generated content. This has been rumored to come to the game and has already been slightly rolled out in GTA Online with a job or mission creator. Now, if you're not familiar with UGC, in the video game world is basically when a game gives users the ability to create their own content within the world of that game. So think of Roblox, Fortnite, and how they have a ton of servers that are created by users and are able to be played by other users. This is how you have people making their own versions of games like GTA, but within Roblox and Fortnite's engine. And you see a bunch of other examples of this. You see people making basketball games in Roblox, or even Call of Duty in Roblox. So maybe with GTA 6 being so realistic with how the world feels around you and having user-generated content in the game, there could be some way for you to create movies and TV shows that feel super realistic using in-game footage and different servers. Rockstar's also dabbled in cinematic mode, such as camera angles you can use while in-game, and even a built-in Rockstar editor that you can use to create content. The problem with doing this in GTA 5 is that the game at this point graphically and mechanically looks so outdated that it would break immersion completely. But that will not be the case with GTA 6. So let's use this information to speculate a bit about what's possible. So as we know, GTA 6 is about a Bonnie and Clyde duo that gets caught up in a criminal conspiracy in the state of Leonida. But what if someone wanted to use GTA 6 as as the foundation that they build a completely different story on. I'm just throwing ideas out there, but what if someone wanted to create a show or movie about Lucia and Jason actually being two cops that fall in love with each other instead of criminals, and using GTA 6 as a foundation, as a platform, and Rockstar's editing tools, they could actually create a well put together professional piece of art. Or what if you don't even need the main characters to do this? What if you can do this using NPCs or like the created player system to generate and create your own characters within this movie? I don't really think that this is something that is far-fetched. As a matter of fact, the groundwork for this has already been started with the mission creator, the Rockstar editor, and even with the acquisition of 5M, the company who is most credited for GTA RP. So I could definitely see Rockstar going down a similar route. Alright, the next thing that HipHopGamer says is that gameplay feels completely different due to AI immersion and new interaction systems. Now this one is a bit more general and is pretty much common knowledge already if you've even slightly followed along with the trailers and what Rockstar has been doing behind the scenes. All it takes is a quick look at both trailers to see how far Rockstar has come with making NPCs and the world itself feel more immersive and interactive. You got people walking in synchronized groups and smoothly avoiding walking into other people. Even in this clip right here, you can see that this woman, as she enters the store, makes a natural movement around Jason rather than how in GTA 5 where NPCs would walk in a straight line every single direction they go. You got people participating in group activities like sports and taking selfies. You have police shakedowns occurring on the side of the street as you're driving by. And it's been heavily speculated that a lot of these scenes from both trailers are gameplay captured on the in-game engine. And Rockstar came out after trailer 2 was dropped and said that half of trailer 2 was actual gameplay and the other half was in-game cutscenes. And me personally, I think a lot of trailer 1, maybe not a lot, but a good amount of trailer 1 was also gameplay. And the only reason why Rockstar even came out and said anything about trailer 2 was because so many people were doubting that it was actual gameplay anywhere in either of the trailers. So anyways, the world of Grand Theft Auto has clearly come a long way. And this is more than likely thanks to all the patents that Take-Two, Rockstar's parent company, has filed to use AI to help make the world feel more immersive. Now, I'm not going to break down each individual patent in this video, but in short, multiple patents have been filed to make NPCs feel more lifelike. There are patents to make NPCs have personalities and moods and interact with other NPCs, our character, the environment, and any event that may be going on around them based on their own characteristics. There are patents for more dynamic dialogue where NPCs will have hundreds of lines that they can come up with that will only be triggered under specific circumstances. There are patents for dynamic animations where NPCs will come up with animations in real time depending on things like fatigue, weather, terrain, state of mind, and probably a ton of other factors, rather than using the same pre-scripted and pre-rendered animations as always. There's even a patent that allows an animation to adapt to different body types so that multiple animations won't be required to make different demographics of NPCs move differently. There's also a patent for realistic traffic navigation amongst NPCs. So NPCs will react in real time to things going on within traffic. For example, if there's an accident, NPCs will find a completely different route to go around it instead of sitting in a massive pileup like they did in GTA 5. That's another way to make the world feel more alive. Speaking of making the world feel more alive, they've also filed a patent for randomly generated interiors using a tagging system to come up with random interiors with different textures and assets based on the description of the property. So for example, if you're in the hood and you go to look into an interior in that area, there may be tags for that specific interior that say rundown or dirty or something like that. And so as you are about to enter that interior, the system will randomly generate assets to make that interior match the tag that it was tagged with. So yeah, all in all, the gameplay should be way more immersive and interactive. We knew this already, we're expecting this already, but yeah, it's just nice to see that if these are true, if what he's saying is true, that he did go to a special event, that he is confirming a lot of what the community is looking for with this game. All right, next he says future user generated content could enable branded storylines and movie style campaigns that alter the GTA 6 world. So this one kind of goes down the alley of of the points that I was making earlier regarding user-generated content. What's interesting about this is the phrase would alter the GTA 6 world. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Is he saying that the content that people script can play out in the open world? Because typically user-generated content is on a dedicated server that people join to participate in. So it would be crazy if that user-generated content would manifest in a typical GTA 6 public lobby. I'm not entirely too sure how that would play out, or if I'm even understanding his point correctly. He could potentially not mean this literally, like he could potentially not mean would alter the GTA 6 world literally. He could mean it metaphorically, but let me try to speculate. Maybe one player scripts their own robbery in a similar way to the current mission creator, but instead of it occurring in an isolated environment that only the people participating in that mission have access to, maybe it happens in the live open world lobby. And maybe if you're passing by, you could see this robbery happening live and interfere. If that's what he means, and different players can script different events that happen in the world that other people can see happening and maybe even interact with, that would be extremely chaotic. I ain't gonna lie. I really hope that's not what he means, because griefing is already a big enough issue in GTA, and that would take it to a whole nother level. But I could be reading into this too much or misunderstanding his point. So anyways, let's move on. Stealing and entering and exiting vehicles and in-car gameplay are significantly more intricate. So we already suspected this based on the leaks. There were certain items that were shown in the leaks, like the Slim Jim and Immobilizer bypass, that are tools that are used to break into different kinds of cars. The Slim Jim is something locksmiths use to slide down the inside of a window to lift up the lock inside of the car and open the door. Now, this in the wrong hands can obviously be used as a tool to assist carjacking, but typically if you don't have the key to the car, you will need to hotwire the car. That said, this will only work with older modeled vehicles because modern cars have immobilizers which don't allow a car to start without the correct key, thus preventing the car from being able to be hotwired. This is where the immobilizer bypass comes in clutch. So these two items were confirmed in the leaks and will likely be in the game. I can imagine there's more to stealing cars than just these two tools. There were already animations for hotwiring cars since like GTA 4. That's old news, right? So there will probably be some more animations related to hijacking and stealing cars. You know, maybe you try to steal like a more modern car and you don't have your immobilizer on you, and it plays an animation of Lucia or Jason looking around in the car and realizing they can't steal that car, and then maybe they say some dialogue like, damn, this one's too new. Like, I could see it being more intricate in that way, where you kind of have to strategize, because although the entire premise of this game in the name and the title is stealing cars, right? That's what Grand Theft Auto means. It's always felt everything but grand. It's always felt extremely easy. You just run up and you play an animation where you break the window on the car and you get in the car and you drive off, or you run up, you pull somebody out the car, you take the car and you dip. But now it seems like potentially Grand Theft Auto 6 may be the first GTA to make stealing cars feel like a big thing, which in real life is one of the more serious crimes that you can commit. So there may be some people that don't want this. Me personally, I'm all for making it a little bit more challenging, because when something is a little bit more challenging, it's more rewarding when you can pull it off. Anyways, he did mention car gameplay, so we did also see some of this in the leaks. There was footage of a dev messing around with the interiors, and so much of the car in that clip was adjustable. I just wonder how much of this will actually be adjustable in game. I mean, I imagine they won't give us like full control to touch every single thing within the car, but maybe certain in-game actions can trigger an animation within the vehicle. For example, if I change the radio in game, Lucia or Jason or our online character reaches over to the screen and actually presses a button to change the channel, or skip the song if Rockstar decides to finally catch up to the way that modern day music works. Again, I don't think we're gonna be able to get in the car and do everything that the dev was doing in the leaks, and I don't think most people even really care to. Like, do we really want to sit here and press every single button that's in the car and, you know, adjust the lumbar support on your chair? Like, listen, most people don't. I know maybe there's some people that do, but those people really just want to play a literal simulation of real life, right? Like, those are the same people that want you to have to fuel up your car every time you drive it, which that's cool and all. Go get some mods when it comes out on PC. But for most people, this would be an unnecessary feature to add in the game. Now, he also mentions entering and exiting vehicles. I don't really know how that could be so much more intricate. Maybe there's different animations for different vehicles that we've never seen, unless he's referring to robbing and hijacking cars while people are in it, which I would be happy to see an improvement, because currently you kind of get like the same few scenarios. You pull somebody out and either they run away, or you pull them out and they chase the car, or you pull them out and they're either a cop or somebody with a gun, like a criminal or just a random NPC that may have a gun, and they shoot at you. That's really the only few scenarios that happen when it comes to hijacking. But maybe they'll add some more animations to make it feel a little bit more immersive, or maybe they'll add some more complexity to it to make it feel like more difficult. I don't know, we'll see. This next one is very interesting to me. It says Jason and Lucia can reportedly work together during gameplay beyond simply switching characters. So yeah, this has already been shown in the leaks. Now in GTA 5, they began to lay the foundation for this. You could switch between characters during missions, which was revolutionary at the time, but the teamwork aspect of it was very limited to missions, and when you weren't controlling the other characters, they were just kind of like freestyling their actions. It wasn't realistic at all. Their movements weren't realistic, and obviously the technology wasn't as good back then. There wasn't AI implementation in the way that it is now, so it was just a completely different thing back then. Also, I'm like 99% sure you could not have multiple characters out in the open world together unless you were specifically in a mission. Now, with this game having dual protagonists, I think they will obviously build on this feature, but make it 10 times better. Based on the leaks, there will more than likely be some kind of buddy, like partner system in the game. So while you will obviously only be able to directly control one player at a time, you will be able to have partial control over the other character that you're not playing. So in the GTA 6 leaks, during the Hank's Waffle Diner robbery, there was an on-screen command system showing this. There were prompts that appeared on the user interface that allowed the player to directly influence their partner's behavior. For example, the dev menu showed options to toggle your companion to handle things like looting the register or like watching a specific area. There were also commands to have your partner intervene with witnesses and even restrain them. I ain't gonna lie, this would be huge, and it would honestly create such an interesting dynamic between the duo. Imagine you're committing a robbery together and you start out as Jason. While you are intimidating hostages, you command Lucia to go and get the register. Then maybe while Lucia's looting the register, you switch to her to then go check the safe in the back with the teller. You tell Jason to keep an eye out on the door. While you're in the back grabbing money as Lucia, you hear Jason say, "Oh man, it's the cops." You switch back to Jason and command Lucia to come and fight with you while you get started handling business. That kind of back and forth will make the game feel so dynamic and will create an opportunity to cause so many different scenarios to occur within the same situation. I can even imagine Rockstar taking this beyond missions and allowing us to go out and about with both characters within the open world. You kind of had something similar to this back in GTA San Andreas, where you could go on a date with one of your 6 girlfriends that you could have in the game. But from what I remember, I could be wrong, but from what I remember, you did not have any control over what actions your partner was doing. But with this technology and with how far they've gone with AI patents, being in the world with multiple characters would likely feel extremely realistic. I say that because when you're not controlling one player, they're essentially an NPC, right? And because of how advanced NPCs seem to be in the game, I think that would translate well into being out in the world with both characters. When you're controlling one character, the partner is an NPC, but the partner is a realistic NPC. They're reacting to the things that you do in a realistic way, and you'll be able to communicate certain commands and actions for them to act out, on top of being able to obviously switch between them at any time, right? So a quick example of this would be, let's say you're walking down the street in La Pearl with both characters and a group of gang members come up to you guys and hold you at gunpoint. You're Lucia and you look at Jason holding whatever button it is to look at the character, and you see a few buttons to press. Maybe it's like fight back, surrender, negotiate, something like that. And whatever you click triggers Jason to do that action. Let's say you click fight back. Lucia does a quick animation where she nods at Jason and he nods back, and he completely knocks out the first guy, which then triggers an impromptu fight scene. Stuff like that would be insane. You know, it would be crazy to see in real time, and I can imagine hundreds of scenarios, both in the open world and in missions, that could truly make the partner system in the game feel so rewarding. Alright, moving on. So this one says the world is highly reactive, with player actions creating new gameplay possibilities. That one is kind of an extension of the second point, so I won't even really touch on that one. The next one says controls are reportedly responsive enough to appeal to competitive and esports players. This is one of the details that we actually haven't really heard much or speculated much about. In the interview, he mentions the game Counter-Strike as a reference. So to me, it sounds like he's more so referring to first-person shooters when he says esports, and that just makes me think that the combat controls are going to be elevated, more specifically when it comes to gunplay. Now, I hope to God he's not implying that we will be bunny hopping like we're playing Call of Duty and sliding all over the place, but the combat from GTA 5 was definitely lacking, especially in player versus player environments. If you ever went head to head with anybody on GTA Online, it basically turns into who can roll the most and hit the most headshots. And that was basically the same thing in GTA 4. In RDR 2, the mechanics are a little bit different. Instead of rolling all over the place, you can dive. And we all know Rockstar has been basically using the same cover system forever now. You get close to cover, you press a button, and an animation plays out that pulls you into that cover. You can then transition around the cover, shoot over the cover, shoot around the cover. We know what it is now. Overall, I think that the combat system could definitely use an overhaul, and I think that's kind of what he's hinting at here. It's definitely interesting to think about, and if what he's saying is true, we could be in for a lot of fun with the player versus player aspect of the game. Alright, moving on. Rockstar and Take-Two patents may offer clues about the technology being used. That one is obviously a no-brainer. We all pretty much know about the patents. We know that they're going to use new technology, and we know that they're probably going to use those patents to implement that new technology. We talked about it way too much in this video already. Moving on. Major PS5, DualSense, and PS5 Pro features are reportedly included, with comparisons to Astrobot's controller integration. So let's talk about the PS5 Pro first, because that's pretty easy. So the PS5 Pro is obviously an upgraded version of the PlayStation 5. It has a 67% larger GPU, which provides a 45% boost in rendering speed for smoother gameplay. It has PSSR, which is basically AI upscaling to achieve 4K without sacrificing frame rates, and it has advanced ray tracing. So yeah, obviously the game will probably look better on a PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know how much better, and with all the footage that's been displayed in the trailer, it's all been captured on a base PS5, so I am interested to see if it's even worth the upgrade. So I guess we'll see with that. When it comes to the DualSense, obviously they're going to make use of the controller. This is kind of expected, as a lot of major games released on the PS5 make use of the haptic feedback, the dynamic triggers, and using the pad to do certain things within the game. When it comes to haptic feedback, the whole point is for you to feel the world of the game. You'll feel different vibrations when you're walking through sand versus when you're walking up a mountain versus when you're walking on a sidewalk. You'll also likely feel differences in the way that the controller vibrates when you're in different kinds of vehicles. When it comes to the dynamic triggers, this will likely come up in gameplay. For example, shooting a revolver, which should have a heavy trigger, will have more resistance than shooting a sniper, which, believe it or not, are usually designed to be easier to pull the trigger. And there's probably other use cases for the triggers, but we'll see what they have in store. With the controller pad, I'm not too sure what they'd use it for. In other games, it's typically used for simple actions like shortcuts or like things related to the HUD. So I'm sure they have it in mind for things like that, but we'll see what they end up doing with it. But nonetheless, I'm sure Rockstar will find a way to make complete and total use of the PS5 controller to add that next level of immersion. So that's it. All in all, this information we received from HipHopGamer isn't necessarily the most revealing information. A lot of it was a bit general, which, if his story is even true about him going to the event, I would imagine that there had to be some kind of NDA or other agreement that any information that came out could not be specific and probably couldn't be talked about until a certain amount of time. But yeah, most of it was just confirmation of things that we were already speculating with the leaks and with the patents and the stuff that we saw in the trailer. Regardless, it has definitely generated some buzz and has definitely made me a little bit more hyped to see if any of these things come to fruition, and I'm 100% more excited to see this extended look on Netflix coming up on August 27th. So that's it for the video. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment down below your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'll catch y'all boys in the next one. Peace.